Alright, here I am back with another talking video. I don't normally make these because it's definitely out of my comfort zone, but that's okay. I like to make videos of just RC car driving. But I want to talk to you today a little bit about how to make RC car videos. And I know there's lots of videos on YouTube already about how to do this, but this is just to show you how I do it, my way of doing it. And I'm not saying it's the way, it's just a way. And my hope is that you can take a little bit away from how I make videos and how other people make videos and put it together and come up with your own way so you can make videos. So the first thing you're going to want to do is just, get some equipment for filming. I just film on an iPhone. I like to film in 4K 60 frames a second, and that's what's really important, because when you start adding slow motion to your videos, if you don't have a high enough frame rate, 60 frames a second, you start getting a lot of stuttering and lag in your videos, and it just doesn't look cool. So yeah, 4K 60 frames a second, or in the past I've filmed in 1080p 120 frames a second on the slow motion feature, and it just kind of gives you that nice buttery smooth frame rate where everything looks cool. Next thing you want to get is a gimbal, and what that does is it stabilizes your camera. If I'm tilting it, it kind of keeps the camera stable. The camera's not going to bounce and move along with the gimbal. This one is a Zhiyun Crane M2S. I like it a lot. I have a DJI Osmo, which is what my other camera is sitting on right now, and it worked well until my cat knocked it off the table, and then it started kind of being a little juddery as it was panning, so I didn't like that. So I got this one, and I like this one a lot. But maybe as time goes on, I'll get I'm really kind of curious about the higher end DJI stuff like the Ronin and things like that if I get a better camera. Along with your gimbal, you're also going to want a monopod to attach to the bottom. Let's see if I can do this. Righty tighty. So what this does, when you're filming, you want to have your gimbal upside down, and you want to have your phone as close to the ground as possible so you can follow the action of the truck. Getting that perspective of your camera right down on ground level is crucial. It's the really best part about getting these films to look the way that they do. So the next thing you want to do when you're filming is just be really familiar with your film spot. If you just film a bunch of random stuff and try and edit it together, there we are. It's not going to look great. So you want to make sure that you have a plan when you get to your film spot. I like to imagine that each one of my films is a little journey. I don't know if that sounds dumb or not, but each one's a little journey. And as I'm filming along and editing, I'm showing the truck traveling through a little adventure. And so, yeah, get to your film spot and kind of just have a mental map of what you're going to do. So when I'm at a spot that I like to film at, first thing I'll kind of do is just kind of take a little walk through where I kind of try and plan to film. And come on, camera, pan, there we go. And I'll just try and kind of look for lines that I want to drive the truck through. Look for obstacles that I think might mess it up and ruin my shot. Yes, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag here. I set up my shots and make sure that the truck drives over it well. There, the magic's gone. So I'm looking for big rocks that might hang up on the diffs, or things that just might get in the way of the camera. So yeah, I walk each one of my spots to just kind of make a little plan of where I'm going to drive the truck and any hazards I might encounter along the way. The sun's in my hair. There we go. So there we go. That's just the basic little intro of this video. The talking portion of how I film. So the next thing I'm going to do is just show you how I actually physically film, how I'm moving the camera, how I'm walking with the truck, and what I'm doing to get the shots that I do, to get the shots that I get. My wife is a teacher. When I butcher grammar, she lets me know about it. Just gonna get rid of that one. When filming, it can get a little repetitive. You're going along and you stop to see how it looks, or the truck gets stuck, the shot doesn't look just quite the way you want it, so you stop and you go again. Like I said, I do a lot of prep on my trails to make sure that everything goes the way I want it to. The truck often gets hung up, so you stop, clean up where you're trying to film, and then try again. A lot of what I'm thinking about when I'm filming is just how to position the camera, make sure that I've got it pointed in the right direction, and how I'm panning it and moving it so that it moves nice and seamlessly around the truck. There's a lot of trial and error. Just when you think you've got the shot that you want, the truck gets stuck or it doesn't go just the way you want it. So again, it's just trial and error, back and forth, keep trying. Something I've found with filming to help it look good is to just always keep the camera moving. It's really noticeable, I find, when the camera stops moving, even just for a little bit. So I'm either keeping my arm in motion or just keep stepping, and I find that small steps really help to just try and keep things looking smooth. The nice thing about filming in 4K 60 frames a second is that you can rewatch what you just shot, and you can watch it easily to see how it looks. One thing I found with filming in 1080 120 is that the iPhone automatically slows it down using its software, and trying to watch that footage to see how it looks to make sure the camera's not bouncing or you've got the truck centered in the shot nicely, it's more difficult with 1080 120. So 4K 60 frames a second is what I like. For some of these shots where I'm moving the camera a lot, I like to try and imagine that the camera is just flying, either along a line or like a flying drone shot to just follow the truck as it moves. It takes a bit of practice, but once you get used to it, you get some pretty cool looking shots. Like I said, be prepared to take the shot over and over and over again. There's been times where it's taking me a dozen times just to get the shot the way I want it. Is it worth it? Yeah, to me it is, because it makes me happy when I get a cool looking shot and it looks good. But I mean, sometimes the truck crashes, the body falls off, but just keep trying. I never try and make my shots too long. I try to have a thought of a starting point and an end point for each shot, so that I know how long to hold the camera and where to walk to and where to drive the truck to. And when starting a shot, I find it really helps to already have the camera in motion and moving before the truck's moving, so that when it comes to editing, it makes it easier to find that starting point for each clip. Have a good idea of where you're going to end each film, so that otherwise you just keep editing or filming and filming and filming. Have an idea of where you want to end, what your ending is going to look like, so that you know where to stop. All right, so here's my hot take on the reality of filming RC cars for YouTube. And it is it's hard work, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm messy. I woke up this morning and it was like 10 degrees, so I was like, I'm gonna put on a long sleeve shirt. I'm gonna put on my favorite long sleeve shirt. And now it's like 25 and I'm sweating. So that's definitely the reality of it. It's hot, it's fun, it's sweaty, it's exercise. You're gonna go out there, you're gonna get your steps, and you're gonna have a good time. When I'm editing, I like to use an app called VLLO. I find that it works just a little bit better than the standard iMovie editing app. Also exporting the videos, I found with iMovie it degraded the quality a little bit, so I like using VLLO, and it's got a lot of good editing features. When I'm editing, what I like to do is just find an endpoint of each clip that I think is a good place to cut it off, and a starting point of the next clip, and try and make them blend just together nicely. Like, I'll choose maybe a point where the truck bounces and find a point on the next clip where the truck bounces and splice the clips together. And VLLO has these great little editing tools to splice clips together. For example, like this one here is called Dissolve. And you can set the length of the dissolve feature. I usually go half a second. And what you get is just a nice blending of each clip. Just like that. Another nice editing tool for splicing clips is the fade to black tool. And what you can do is just set a fade to black. So if you're going from one clip to the next where there's not really a nice transition, you just do that fade to black and you get a nice little feature like this. So you see just like that. And also if you're, I've been trying to have not so many dead spots in my films where nothing really interesting or cool is happening. And so you can go from one shot to the next without, a logical transition in between, with a fade to black like that as well. Well, that's the editing portion of the video right there. I know it's pretty brief, but it's pretty straightforward. You just decide where you want to splice the clip, to cut it, to end it, and where you want to start it, splice them together with the editing tools that are in there. They're pretty awesome. They work really well. And, that's it. Get out there and have fun.